Her hand trembled as she reached for the mail. Our fingers brushed, and she looked up with eyes that hadn't truly seen daylight in months. "No one sees me since the divorce," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the sprinklers. I'd been watching her fade for a year from my kitchen window, and something inside me snapped. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across Willow Creek Lane as Aurelia Matthews stood frozen at her mailbox. Her once vibrant copper hair hung limp around hollow cheeks. The envelope slipped from her fingers, dancing briefly in the breeze before settling on the damp grass. When I bent to retrieve it, I caught the faint scent of lavender clinging to her, the last remnant of who she used to be. My heart pounded against my ribs. I hated that feeling, watching someone disappear while standing right in front of you. "Here," I said, extending the envelope. Our fingers touched again, and her skin felt cool despite the July heat. Her wedding ring was gone, leaving a pale indent like a ghost. Aurelia nodded, clutching the mail to her chest. "Thank you, Darian." My name on her lips surprised me. I hadn't thought she knew it. The sprinklers sputtered and clicked in rhythmic percussion across manicured lawns. Behind her, Mrs. Donovan watered her prize roses while pretending not to watch us. 2 houses down, the Hendersons' teenage son washed his car, music blaring just loud enough to drown out conversation. Everyone here existed in careful orbits, close enough to observe but never to connect. I'd lived on Willow Creek Lane for 8 years. We all knew the schedules, the routines, the surface details of each other's lives. We waved from driveways and exchanged pleasantries about the weather. But we never really saw each other, except I saw Aurelia. I watched her marriage crumble through drawn curtains and midnight arguments. I noticed how neighbors who once brought her casseroles now crossed the street to avoid uncomfortable conversations. How she'd become a ghost in her own life. "You like help with anything?" I asked, words tumbling out before I could stop them. Her eyes widened, as if the question itself was shocking. The silence stretched between us, filled only by the distant sound of children playing and the steady rhythm of sprinklers. "No," she finally said, her voice cracking. "There's nothing anyone can do." But I knew there was, 'cause I'd been invisible. Once too. I'm just an average guy who notices things. That's my job, noticing what others miss. I make documentaries about overlooked moments, forgotten places, invisible people. My camera captures what eyes glance past. But I never expected my greatest subject would be the woman across the street, 3 years ago. When the Matthews family moved in, Aurelia lit up Willow Creek Lane. Her laugh carried across summer barbecues. Her holiday parties drew neighbors who otherwise never spoke. I remember her at the block party, that first Julie copper hair catching sunlight, gesturing animatedly as she told stories that made everyone lean in closer. "Darian, come meet Aurelia," called Mirabelle, waving me over. Mirabelle knew everyone, connected everyone. At 52, she'd lived on our street longer than anyone. Her gray-streaked curls and ever-present coffee mug fixtures at every neighborhood event. I shook Aurelia's hand. Her husband, James, stood beside her, hand possessively at her waist, smile not quite reaching his eyes. "Darian makes films," Mirabelle explained. "The one about the abandoned train station downtown won that award. That was you?" Aurelia's eyes widened. I cried, watching it. "The way you captured those old ticket stubs, ... Double quotes, James cleared his throat. "Honey, we should circulate." That brief interaction was our only real conversation until the day at the mailbox. I watched her life from afar, her garden flourishing, her book club meetings on Wednesday evenings, the dinner parties where laughter spilled through open windows. Then, 18 months ago, the arguments began. Neighbors pretended not to notice James's car arriving later each night. The raised voices, the slamming doors. I noticed because 7 years earlier, I'd been the one slamming doors in my own home, watching my marriage collapse in slow motion. The divorce announcement came via neighborhood gossip. James moved out on a Tuesday. By Wednesday, the invisible barrier had formed around Aurelia, the bubble that surrounds the newly separated, making others uncomfortable, afraid of saying the wrong thing. I understood that bubble. After my own divorce, I'd vanished from friends' lives. Not physically, I showed up at gatherings, nodded along to conversations, but I might as well have been a ghost. People looked through me, afraid my pain might be contagious. That experience shaped my work, my eye for the overlooked. Aurelia's new routine emerged like a photograph developing in solution. Mornings, coffee on her porch, staring into middle distance. Afternoons, working from home, blinds half drawn. Evenings, takeout for 1, lights out by 9. Her garden withered. The book club now met elsewhere. Her copper hair dulled, often pulled back without care. The neighborhood adjusted around her. Absence, Mrs. Donovan mentioned such a shame while pruning roses. The Henderson boy stopped his music when she walked by an awkward courtesy. Mirabelle alone made efforts, leaving baked goods and invitations Aurelia rarely accepted. One evening, I watched her return from somewhere work, perhaps in stand. In her driveway for 17 minutes, keys in hand, as if gathering strength to enter her own home. The emptiness waiting inside seemed to physically weigh on her shoulders. The following morning, I left for a 3-week shoot in Montana. When I returned, she looked thinner, paler. Her mail had piled up despite the neighborhood's unofficial system of collecting packages for traveling residents. That's when I started leaving my porch light on at night. A small gesture, illuminating the space between our houses. Sometimes, I'd catch her looking at it from her darkened living room. Sometimes, in that shared moment of awareness, I thought I saw a flicker of the woman who once made everyone lean in to hear her stories. Tuesday morning, Aurelia's car wouldn't start. I watched her try 3 times before slamming her palm against the steering wheel. Without thinking, I crossed the street. Need a jump? I asked. She startled, hand pressed to her chest. I have cables. ... I'll get mine. While connecting the batteries, I noticed her phone wallpaper still a photo of her and James. The date on her calendar, mediation, 2 p.m. Her fingernails, once perfectly manicured, bitten to the quick. Thank you, she said, as her engine turned over. I'd have been late too. She stopped herself. No problem. That's what neighbors do. I hesitated. Good luck today. Her eyes widened slightly. She knew I'd seen her calendar. Thanks, she whispered, then drove away. These small encounters multiplied. I helped carry groceries. She collected my newspaper when I worked late. We developed a silent acknowledgement nods across driveways, waves through windows, tiny recognitions that we existed in each other's orbits. Mirabelle noticed. You've been talking to Aurelia, she said, cornering me while I mowed my lawn. Just being neighborly. Hom. She sipped her ever-present coffee. She needs friends. Real ones. The book club ladies treat her like she has divorce cooties. I'm hardly qualified to help, because of Carolyn. She referenced my ex-wife with characteristic bluntness. That's exactly why you're qualified. That evening, a moving truck appeared 4 houses down. Lysander Morgan, mid-50s, prematurely. Silver hair, quiet demeanor, began unloading boxes with methodical precision. Widower Mirabelle informed the neighborhood within hours. Lost his wife to cancer last year. Be kind. Watching him arrange his solitary furniture, I recognized the careful movements of someone rebuilding a life. Later, I saw Aurelia watching. Him too. Something like recognition in her expression, the annual Memorial Day barbecue. arrived with Mirabelle's typical force of nature planning. "You're coming," she informed Aurelia. "Not a question." "And you?" She pointed at me. "And our new neighbor," she added, already heading toward Lysander's house. The gathering formed awkward clusters across the Hendersons. Backyard. Couples huddled together. Children raced between sprinklers. Aurelia stood alone by the drinks table, overdressed and underprepared, clutching a plastic cup like a shield. I approached, noticing how her knuckles whitened around her cup when Mrs. Donovan whispered to her husband while glancing her way. "The pasta salad's surprisingly good," I offered. "I brought it," she said, attempting a smile. "Well, that explains it." A small laugh escaped her, brief, rusty, but real. Across the lawn, Lysander stood equally alone, watching children play with distant eyes. "He seems lost," Aurelia murmured. "Recognizable, isn't it?" She nodded slowly. "Should we rescue him?" We crossed the lawn together, a small alliance of outsiders. Lysander's relief at our approach was palpable. "Morgan. Lysander Morgan," he introduced himself, voice deep and measured. "Aurelia Matthews. This is Darian Lewis, the documentary filmmaker. My wife admired your work." Conversation flowed easier than expected. Lysander spoke of teaching literature at the community college, of relocating after everything changed. His grief hung around him, not as a fresh wound, but as a permanent alteration to his landscape. "People either want you to be devastated or moved on," he observed. "They can't handle the in-between." "The limbo," Aurelia agreed, "where you're neither who you were nor who you'll become." I watched her shoulders relax for the first time in months. Later, Mrs. Donovan approached our small group. "Aurelia, have you heard from James recently? He and that young accountant bought the Miller's old house in Oak Ridge Estates. Such a lovely neighborhood." The color drained from Aurelia's face. I stepped closer to her side. "No," she said flatly. "We don't speak much." "Well, I thought you'd want to know. They've already started renovations." Thunder rumbled overhead, saving us from further conversation. Fat raindrops began falling, sending the gathering into chaos. People grabbed plates and chairs, rushing for cover. Aurelia stood frozen as rain soaked her carefully styled hair, her blue sundress darkening with water. "Come on," I said, taking her elbow gently. My house was closest. We ran across lawns as the sky opened completely. On my porch, we watched sheets of rain transform the street. Aurelia shivered, water dripping from her hair onto my welcome mat. "Have towels," I offered, "and coffee." She hesitated on the threshold, as if crossing it meant something more significant than escaping rain. "I haven't been inside anyone else's home in 8 months, she admitted. "Mine's nothing special," I said, holding the door open. "Just a place where someone sees you." She stepped inside, leaving a trail of rainwater behind her. Neither of us knew it then, but something fundamental had shifted, like continental plates, moving imperceptibly beneath our feet. 2 weeks after the rainstorm, at 11:47 p.m., my doorbell rang. I wasn't asleep. Editing footage rarely allows normal hours, but the sound startled me nonetheless. Through the peephole, Aurelia, hair wild, eyes red-rimmed. "I'm sorry," she said when I opened the door. "I was sitting on my porch and saw your light. I shouldn't have come in." She paced my living room, arms wrapped around herself. "I got the final papers today. It's done." I nodded, uncertain what she needed words. Silence, distance. 16 years, she continued. 16 years, and it ends with a notarized signature. Do you know what the court document said? It's irretrievable breakdown, like a car engine. I offered her water. She requested something stronger. We sat with whiskey in mismatched glasses, the night pressing against windows. "I kept thinking someone would call," she said. "My mother. My sister. friends, someone to acknowledge that my life just officially shattered. Her laugh cut like glass. No one did. I'm sorry. Don't be. She swirled her drink. It's fitting. James made me feel invisible toward the end, looking through me, not at me. Now everyone else does too. I see you. Her eyes flashed. Do you? Or do you see a project? The sad, divorced lady across the street who makes you feel better about your own life. The accusation stung because it carried a grain of truth, a tand. I'd been watching her through my documentary maker's eye. Maybe at first, I admitted. I notice broken things because I know what it's like to break. I'm not broken. Her voice rose. I'm not some damaged creature needing rescue. That's not what I do. You know what it's like. She stood abruptly, to realize you've been performing your whole life. The perfect wife, hostess, neighbor, smiling, making everyone comfortable. Then one day, the audience leaves, and you're still performing, but the theater's empty. She paced again, glass clutched tight. James told me right before he left, he'd been acting too, pretending to be happy. Can you imagine? 16 years of mutual pretense? The raw emotion in her voice held me silent. I'm supposed to ... what? Reinvent myself. Find a hobby. Join a dating app. She laughed bitterly. Meanwhile, everyone pretends I don't exist because divorce might be contagious. Not everyone, I said quietly. No. What about you, Darian? You with your camera? And you're observing. Have you ever actually participated in life? Or do you just document it from a safe distance? The question hit like a physical blow. I set down my glass. My wife left because I couldn't give her what she needed, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. She needed someone present, engaged. I was always behind the camera, watching life instead of living it. By the time I realized, she'd found someone else. Aurelia stilled. After she left, I became ghost-like. Friends stopped calling. Invitations dried up. I'd walk into rooms and conversations would falter. People looked through me, afraid my failure might reflect their own fears. I met her gaze directly. So yes, Aurelia, I see you. Not as a project or a broken thing. I see you because I know exactly what it's like to disappear while standing in plain sight. The silence between us thickened. Her anger dissipated, leaving something more vulnerable. I'm sorry, she whispered. I shouldn't have lashed out. Cure? Allowed to be angry? Not at you. You've been kind when no one else bothered. Kindness isn't special. It should be the baseline. She sat beside me again, closer now. What happened with your wife? If you don't mind me asking? Caroline, I said. Her name still strange on my tongue after years. She needed someone fully present. I was always looking for the next moment to capture rather than living the current one. Do you still love her? I love who we were. That's different. Aurelia nodded slowly. I don't think I ever really knew James, or he me. We married. Our ideas of each other, that happens more than people admit. What scares me, she said, voice dropping, is that I'll never be truly seen. That I'll live and die without anyone really knowing me. I turned toward her. What would it mean to be truly seen? Kay, her eyes, luminous with unshed tears, met mine. To have someone witness my fears, my flaws, my desires and stay anyway. To not have to perform or pretend. I'm terrified of being forgotten, I confessed. That's why I make films. Proof I existed. Proof I noticed things others missed. Her hand found mine in the dim light. I notice you, Darian. 4 words, simple yet profound. The recognition we both craved. You were wrong before, I said, about why I watch you. Her eyebrow raised slightly. I've been watching because from the moment you moved in, you seemed more alive than anyone I'd ever seen. Even now, in your pain, you're more authentic than most people at their happiest. That's not how I feel. I know, but it's what I see. Tears fell then, silent tracks down flushed cheeks. Not the performative crying of someone seeking comfort, but the private tears of recognition. I should go, she said eventually, though she made no move to leave. You could stay, I offered, just to talk. The night feels less empty with someone else in it. Her eyes searched mine for hidden meanings, for danger, for pity. Just to talk, she repeated, a question and answer both. Morning light revealed the vulnerability of nighttime confessions. We'd talked until 3 a.m. Then Aurelia had gone home, crossing the street in pre-dawn darkness. Now, watering my neglected plants, I watched her emerge onto her porch, uncertainty visible in her posture. She waved. I waved back. Neither of us approached. The neighborhood hummed with weekend activity. Mrs. Donovan's roses received their ritual. Pruning. The Henderson boy washed his car. Mirabelle walked her ancient terrier past Aurelia's house, then mine, observing with barely concealed interest by afternoon. She appeared at my door with a cake. I baked too much, she claimed, though the frosting clearly spelled talk to her in wobbly letters. Subtle. I don't do subtle at my age, she declared, inviting herself in. What happened last night? Aurelia looked wrecked this morning. Wrecked or bad wrecked? Nothing happened. We talked. Talking can be everything. She settled into my armchair like it was her own. Lysander stopped by my place yesterday. Asked about both of you. Both of us. He recognizes fellow travelers. She fixed me with her shrewd gaze. Listen, broken hearts are like broken bones. They need proper setting to heal straight. Otherwise they mend crooked. I didn't say you were. I'm saying pain recognizes pain. Healing recognizes healing. She stood to leave. Also, that cake is store-bought. I'm a terrible baker, after. She left. I laughed my first genuine laugh in days. That evening, Lysander and I crossed paths while retrieving mail. His silver hair caught the sunset. His posture more relaxed than at the barbecue. Mirabelle brought me cake, he said. Expression, wry. Apparently I need to get out more. She's a force of nature. He nodded toward Aurelia's darkened house. How is she? Managing? The divorce finalized yesterday. He was quiet a moment. Eleanor always said that endings aren't endpoints, but transitions. I didn't understand until after she was gone. His eyes met mine. Your friend, she's still becoming who she'll be next. As are you. I'm not sure what I'm becoming. His smile carried gentle knowing. Someone who sees rather than just watches. There's a difference. The distinction stayed with me as I worked that night, editing footage of strangers' lives while thinking of my own. At midnight, I took a chance and texted Aurelia. Porch lights on if you need company. 20 minutes later, she appeared with 2 cups of tea. We sat side by side on my steps, watching stars emerge. I told my sister about our conversation, she said finally. It's the first time I've talked to her, Ellie, talked since the separation. How was it? Healing. She smiled faintly. She said she's been worried but didn't know how to help. People rarely do. No, but trying matters. She turned toward me. Thank you for trying. I haven't done anything special. You saw me, she said simply. When I felt invisible. The next morning, Aurelia left for work in a blue dress I'd never seen, her copper hair loose around her shoulders. She waved to Mrs. Donovan, who actually stopped pruning to wave back. Later, I noticed her gardening gloves beside her withered. Flower beds, small changes accumulated. She joined Mirabelle for coffee on Saturdays. She and Lysander exchanged books across fence lines. Her porch light stayed on later each night. 2 weeks after our late-night conversation, she knocked on my door with a photo album. "I want you to see who I was," she said. "Okay? And maybe help me figure out who I'm becoming." 6 months later, autumn painted Willow Creek Lane in amber and gold. Aurelia's garden bloomed again, not with the perfectly arranged flowers of her married life, but with wildflowers and herbs that spilled beyond their borders. Her copper hair now featured a bold streak of silver she'd chosen not to cover. I'd changed too. My documentary on invisible neighbors was in post-production, stories of people whose quiet lives contained universes of experience. For the first time, I appeared on camera alongside my subjects, participating rather than merely observing. The screening's next month, I told Aurelia as we walked through the park, fallen leaves crunching beneath our feet. "You'll be there. Front row," she promised. Her hand found mine, our fingers intertwining with practiced ease. Not quite romance, not merely friendships, something still evolving, still becoming, ahead of us. Mirabelle walked with Lysander, their heads bent in conversation. He'd joined our Saturday coffee ritual, bringing poetry and perspective. His grief remained, but now existed alongside moments of unexpected joy. "Melissa Wilson moved in yesterday," Aurelia said, nodding toward the blue house at the corner. "Just left her husband." She looked how I felt like she might shatter if someone spoke too loudly. "Are you going to talk to her?" "Already did. Brought her dinner and my divorce attorney's number." Her smile held quiet pride. Told her about our neighborhood of second chances. We reached the community center, where Aurelia now taught art classes, twice weekly. Her paintings, raw, vivid explorations of visibility and absence, had attracted attention from a local gallery. "I never would have done this before," she admitted, watching children arrange easels inside. "I was too afraid of being judged. And now I know. Being seen, truly seen, isn't about judgment. It's about connection." Later that evening, sitting on my porch with mugs of cider, we watched stars emerge above rooftops. Aurelia leaned against my shoulder, her warmth familiar and still thrilling. "Do you ever wonder where we're heading?" she asked quietly. The question hung between us, weighted with possibility. We'd grown close in ways neither had anticipated. Shared meals had become shared dreams. Movie nights had become lingering conversations until dawn. Yet neither had pressed for definitions. "I'm learning to stay in the present," I said. "To experience moments instead of just capturing them." She nodded, understanding the deeper answer beneath my words. "Me too. Have you ever felt that suspended moment between what was and what might be? That breath-holding space where possibility lives. Like us, you might be standing at the edge of transformation, uncertain whether to leap if this story resonated with you. Like this video, especially if you've ever felt invisible or started seeing someone in a new light. Comment below about a time someone truly saw you when you felt overlooked. Your story might help someone else feel less alone tonight. And subscribe to Heartside Tales for more authentic relationship stories that explore the messy, beautiful truth about human connection. Next week, we'll share what happened when Aurelia and I finally decided whether to cross that invisible line between friendship and something more. Some connections begin with a simple truth. Sometimes the people we've been looking at for years are the ones we've never truly seen. Until suddenly, we do.